Hey, good to see you. Today we're going to look at finding the volume of a cone. And you saw the video, I believe, that compared the cone to the cylinder. And the cone is basically 1/3 the volume of the cylinder. Okay, so the formula for the volume of a cone is pretty much pi r squared height, just like the cylinder, times 1/3. So you can expect when you're calculating volume or area and it's involving a shape that's circular, pretty much anything that's circular very often involves pi. So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to do today. Not too complicated. I mean, we've got the formula. So I think the main thing we need to look out for is getting you some practice in calculating, calculating these problems correctly. Okay? All right. So calculation is important. We look at the cone, obviously. Cone has parts to it. This is a little blurry in its printing, but hey, at least we can focus on this. The cone has the base circle. The radius is obviously marked right there. The diameter would be all the way across. The cone height is from the middle of the base to the very tippy top. That's the height. Slant height, which is something different, that is the amount or the length of this edge here, from the point from the top to the edge at the bottom. So that's the slant height. This is not the height that we use when we are calculating volume. Oh, you like my little chili pepper pointer? Yeah. So those are the parts of the cone. The only thing not listed on here is pretty much the diameter, but you guys know that, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and use the formula to calculate the volume of a couple of cones, okay? So we have this little cone here. This is like the birthday hat for a, a Chihuahua. There we go. So this is a Chihuahua's birthday hat, and we want to know the volume of it for some bizarre, crazy reason. Okay? All right. So, again, I'm just going to take you through the formula. Your job is to, as you do this, to follow along. Pay attention. Write things out. Okay? It's going to be your best friend. You don't want to trick yourself. Okay, so the volume of this cone, or any cone, the volume of a cone, I'll put a C there, is 1/3. I like to move pi to the very back end, and I think maybe you should start getting in the habit of doing that. So it's 1/3 r squared times h times pi. Okay, and again, I'm going to strongly encourage you to leave pi to the very end. All right. All right, so we're going to plug in some values here. I got 1/3 times, now the radius, if you look over here, the diameter is 8. So the radius in this case is going to be 4. I'll write it all out. The height, well, if we look over here, the height is 6. And then pi. Okay? So I've got 1/3 times 16 times 6 times pi. I like to try to simplify ahead of time. So 1/3 times 6 is 2. If you want to do that, you can do that. I'm going to do that. 1/3 times 6 is 2. And then that leaves me 16 twice. So this is 32 pi. And again, I'm leaving out the units. I'm going to write them at the very end. Okay? Get out my tried and trusted calculator. 32 times looks to be 100.48. We're dealing with centimeters, and this is volume, so it's cubed. Okay, where does the cube come from, Mita Whately? Well, this is centimeters up here becomes squared, And then this is centimeters also. So that's where we get our cubic centimeters from. So the volume of this Chihuahua birthday hat would be 100.48 centimeters cubed. Okay? All right. We'll go ahead and calculate the volume of another one. Well, maybe we'll take a look at this one here. Oh, nummy, yummy. I love ice cream. Helado. All right, here we go. So, wow, look at that. This is, oh, it's only, okay, it's 8 inches tall by 4 inches wide. This is like a big old waffle cone. You want to find out how much ice cream will fit inside the waffle cone? Well, that's called volume. Now, if you look at it again, you might want to label your parts and pieces, but our radius is not 4. This is the diameter all the way across. So the radius in this case is 2 inches. The height, I believe, is quite obvious, 8 inches. Okay? So those are the values we need. We'll use the formula. We will calculate the volume. We'll do this better than any 8th grader can because you're paying attention, you're following along, you're using your brain. Pi r squared h. All right? So, here we go. One thing about you doing this and labeling this is you're not going to make an error. I mean, you look here, plug in the value. Okay? So, something you might consider doing. I'm going to move pi to the end, so I'm going to go with the radius next. The height is 8, and then pi. Okay? So it's 1/3 times 4 times 8 times pi. I don't see any way to do a little shortcut here. So it's 1/3 times 32 times pi. So it's basically 32/3 pi. So what I'm going to do in this case is clear out the values from the previous problem. 32 divided by 3, right? It's the same as multiplying by 1/3. I get 10.666 repeating, 10.6 repeating times pi. Okay? So let's see what we get. Times, and for our purposes we can use 3.14. That's all. We end up with 33.49. Okay? 33.49, and we're dealing with inches in this case. Watch your units. Inches cubed. Volume, cubic inches. And think about it. Is it reasonable? And I believe it to be reasonable. Okay? So, we'll practice a few more problems together, but that's how you do it. That's how you calculate the volume of a cone. You saw the video that shows the cone its volume is really, it's the cylinder volume formula divided by 3, basically. All right, thank you. Thanks for being here.